telling you, it's going to be another hot one out there. In fact, there are heat alerts in effect for New Jersey, feeling like 100 degrees.
What is that?
First time in New York history, people froze to death in the middle of July.
What is it?
The death chill. The power to kill by fear itself. Your veins turn to rivers of ice. Your bones crack. And the last thing you see is your own tear ducts freezing up.
Like, literally scared to death? So cool.
Seeing one a day all June long, and then after, if you're asking, yes, I'll be podcasting. 'Cause movie month's back, and I'll be the man, to watch and podcast all month long. Yeah, movie month's back for 30 straight days again. Hope each day you come along. Please come along, don't just stay here for this song. 'Cause it's movie month time, this is a movie month. Ooh, 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 honey, it's movie month time, yeah, this is a movie month. Ooh, 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 honey, it's movie month time, yeah, this is a movie month. Ooh, 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 please listen to me as I talk movies.
It's Monday, June 17th. And you know what that means? That means for the 17th day in a row, I watched a movie I've never seen before, and now I'm here talking to you, fellow Earthlings, all about it. 2024. The 40th anniversary of a film that really meant a lot to me as a kid. 1984, for people my age, was a big year for movies that kind of stick with you for years to come. For me, it reminds me of 3 movies that my grandmother took my brother and I to go see. One of those movies was a Tom Hanks film called Splash. You may have heard of it. I feel like that doesn't get enough love, enough attention. It's not as beloved as it should be. You know, I think, but because as a kid, I loved it. 1984 also was the year my grandmother took my brother and I to see Gremlins. The one time I had to leave the theater, I'm sure I've talked about this on previous episodes. I don't care. It was during the scene where the gremlins, the titular gremlins, attacked Billy's mother in the kitchen, and I think she microwaved one of them. And I remember being like, I have to leave. I have to leave. This is too upsetting. I don't like seeing gremlins get hurt. No, I think I was just scared. And she took me out for a few minutes. We went back in. She slapped me around. She said, "Man up, kid, you dumb 8-year-old." And then the one that really, really sticks with me, we got in the car in their garage, and I remember not knowing exactly what we were doing. And she came down and held a piece of paper up to the window of the car with the Ghostbusters logo, and she said, "How about we go see that? How you like them apples?" It really was kind of like Will Hunting slapping the glass up. "I got a number." But it was like, "We're going to see this movie." Now, she didn't talk like Will Hunting, but I definitely remember her putting the picture of the newspaper clipping, because kids, back in the olden days of the 1980s, the way you knew about when a movie was playing and where was through the something called a newspaper. They would have a page dedicated to film showings. I know that a newspaper still exists. I've seen my parents get it, like not even as a gag gift. They actually still get a newspaper every day. It's not even every day, really. Not around here. I don't know if the movie showings or the movie showtimes are still in the paper, but it was a big deal. I say in the 80s, but in the 90s up through I think the more relevant usage of the internet is when that kind of started to go away, as did newspapers. But I sincerely remember being brought to the theater 1984 to see the original Ghostbusters, a movie I loved, a movie I still love, a movie I still adore, and still holds up. Even when the special effects don't hold up, that's part of the charm. I just love it so much so that 4 years later, and to me as a kid, I thought 4 years was forever for a sequel, especially when I would see all these horror movies having sequels every other year or every year. 4 years later, my brother and I, alone this time, we just didn't want to invite our grandmother. She was still with us at the time. We just said, "Get out of here, lady. We're going ourselves. We're cool. Hey, let's pack up our fanny packs with McDonald's cheeseburgers and sneak those into the theater because we're rebels." So we did. We went to see Ghostbusters Part 2. I believe it was called Ghostbusters 2. Rick Moranis, "I'm a Ghostbuster." Vigo, like the buzzing of flies to him. And I knew even then that it wasn't as good as the first one. In fact, I think I was already kind of like, "Oh, this is all right." And I remember some kids at school liked it, and I was like, "Oh, maybe it is okay. Maybe I do enjoy it." And there are parts of it that I do enjoy. But it's not. It pales in comparison of the original. The original is a classic, and those are the only two Ghostbusters movies that I've ever seen in the theater. But flash forward to 27 years later, is that when we get Ghostbusters? Now, sometimes it's called Ghostbusters Answer the Call, a brand new reboot. Which I've talked about this too many times. It didn't do gangbusters in the theater, and that's what kind of killed that side franchise. It wasn't the worst thing. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate watch it. I went in with an open mind, and I enjoyed much of it. The only part I didn't like was that it was completely disregarding what came before it. That's the only. I'm not sure if that's the only thing, but that's the thing that bugged me the most. Well, that's a good thing. It wasn't even decisions or the way that the actors were portrayed, performances, nothing like that really bothered me. I took it as it was, a modern version of Ghostbusters. And I always just said, but what if they just took over for, their dad, or they started a franchise and they're franchisees? That would have been like, oh, and there were other ones, but we're focusing on these ones. But it was just something where they just restarted it as Ghostbusters that in 2016. And it didn't connect as well as they thought it would. I don't know. People blamed that they were all women. Look, if it was really, really, really good, it would have connected. I think no matter what. I think, and I can't just blame the audience for not having an open mind, because sometimes a movie is just not as good as they hoped it would be, and you gotta. There's some responsibility on the filmmaker side, right? I guess. And then Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman, who, was already a well-established filmmaker on his own, says, I'm bringing the Ghostbusters back for the 35th anniversary. Around then, he announced a new film, Ghostbusters, what the hell is it called? Afterlife. And that came out, I want to say, okay, I watched it in 2022, so it came out 2021. So that was about a little more than 36 years, 37 years since the original. But it was like, this is a continuation. We're going backward, and it was sort of like, sorry about what happened with that other one. We're going to do it right this time, which isn't quite fair to that film and what that film was trying to do. But I was all on board. And, it was kind of what I wanted it to be, a continuation, new characters, but with the caveat that the original storylines did happen. This is the current day version of what happens there. And I talked about that a couple of years ago. And now that movie gets a direct sequel, and that's what I'm finally here talking about today. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire from 2024. Yes, it is a 2024 movie. And look, I got to say, this movie was only available for purchase. It wasn't streaming anywhere as part of like a streamer. It wasn't for rent anywhere. And I know there are places you can go and find it. And, part of me thought, should I do that? But honesty kicked in, and I hate it. I hate having integrity in any way. It's like, ugh, gross. What a nerd. But no. This movie was for purchase. So, ladies and gentlemen, I now own 2 Ghostbusters movies. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, the original? And now you own Frozen Empire? No. I own the 2016 Ghostbusters. And now I own Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Now, how did that happen? I just talked about the movie that I thought was okay, but didn't fall in love with. And I believe I own it, but I didn't purchase it. Was it Google Play or Movies Anywhere? They were doing things where they're just giving you free movies. And I have that free. Now, when I say own it, I guess I own the right to watch it whenever I want. But it's not physical media, so I don't own that. If Google Movies goes away, I don't know if I get a refund. They did that with their streaming video game system. Anything you bought, you get a refund for. But I don't own any of those games I bought. I lost them. I got the money back, but fine. And that goes with today's movie. I spent money on today's movie. Now, you're thinking, you bought a movie for $20? No. It was marked down to $14.99, and I had $4.60-something in credit, so I did spend about $10 for it. Okay, I did. I admit it. Look, if I was going to wait for it to rent, I'd be spending $4 or $5. So for $4 or $5 more, I can, I guess, watch this again or share it with my niece and nephew or with my wife. I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. After watching the movie, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I think about this movie. I read that people enjoyed it better than Afterlife. Maybe I did. I don't know. It kind of was on par with it. I did laugh a few times. Some of the characters made me chuckle. I smiled. I enjoyed the nostalgia. I enjoyed seeing, most of the original cast coming back. And, Annie Potts and Ernie Hudson definitely aged the best. I'll just say that right now. Ernie Hudson looks like he can still kick ass. Now, I watched him recently on the new Quantum Leap show, and he was great on there. So I don't remember. I guess he's a philanthropist now. He's a rich businessman, and he funds the Ghostbusters. He has a research center, and he also funds the current Ghostbusters led by Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon. And he was a teacher and a single mom, and they kind of have a relationship. And their 2 kids, McKenna Grace and Finn Wolfhard. And then they have their friends, girl and boy. I don't remember. One kid's name is Podcast. I don't remember the other girl's name. And they were just kind of pushed into this movie. It's like, look, Everyone's moved far away from where they live because they're Ghostbusters. We got to get these kids back too because they were such a big deal the last time. All the kids worked together. Well, now we have to get these kids in there. So one of them interns with Winston Zedmore's group, with Ernie Hudson's group, and the other kid works with Dan Aykroyd, who does like video streaming now about all the ghost stuff that he's into. And that actually makes sense that he would still be doing that he would be doing that kind of stuff, that he's still into that I think Dan Aykroyd really is into. I think that part made sense. I don't know if he needs the kid, this one kid, to be the one to work for him, but the fact that that's what Ray Stantz would be doing kind of, to me, holds up. Meanwhile, the Ghostbusters are Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, and the two kids, which doesn't quite work well when they have some destruction. The mayor is Walter Peck. The fact that they got William Atherton back, who I'm not sure, I would like to see a movie where he plays like the romantic lead, or he plays a guy who's like a wonderful, warm-hearted father, or just like a cool baseball coach or something. But no, he's either a dick to Holly Gennaro McLean, or he's a dick to the Ghostbusters. But he plays it so well. He's so good at it. And now he's the mayor. He is the mayor of New York City. Now, the last mayor, he wasn't into the Ghostbusters until he needed to be. This guy hates the Ghostbusters. He wants to bring them down. Any excuse of any damage, he's ready to bring them down, ready to cause damage, all the way up until the end. He wants to shut them down. He wants to get rid of the containment unit. And it's like, can I see this containment unit? Well, you didn't say the magic word. And what is the magic word? Please. I'm sorry. See, I'm going back on the original Ghostbusters because it's so good. But we get Bill Murray. He's there for a few minutes there to crack jokes, to do some experiments. We get Ray and Ernie Hudson. And Annie Potts is there, I guess, just to be there. Like, I don't know what... She's there. I forget if she was in the last one. And I guess she's there because maybe she was close with Egon, right? Did she have a relationship with Egon? I know we think she did in the original movie, or did Egon or did she have a relationship with Rick Moranis? They tried to get Rick Moranis to come back, but he's still sticking with retirement, which bums me out because he would have been amazing. So the movie itself it's happenstance. None of this would have happened if Keneal Nunjali, I know I'm getting the name wrong, funny actor. He's been in Eternals and Movie Month and this. I'm not sure he's been in anything else. I've known him all the way back from Franklin and Bash on TNT. So Breckenmeyer and Mark Paul Gosselaar. Yes, I watched every episode. So he is trying to sell. We start off in the 1900s. It looks like it's in the old firehouse. And there's these, like the group of very important people. They have a meeting and everyone freezes to death. And they show one woman who's like a witch. She's holding this orb, or she's like an old warrior. I don't know what it is. But somehow this orb ends up in Camille's. I'm sure I'm getting his name wrong. It ends up in his name in the show. In the movie, his name Nadir, I think. And he wants to just sell it. He's just kind of a slacker who's just looking to sell stuff and make money. So he brings it to Ray Stantz, who he sells it to. And they're like, there's something crazy about this, something inside. This is something very powerful. Some magic gets out. Things freeze up a little bit. So he brings it to Winston, who has a research facility, and they want to test it. And that can almost open it up, but they need a human voice to open it up. Well, we also flash forward. We also kick over to the Ghostbusters. Some of the damage that McKenna Grace caused makes, Mayor Peck finds out she's a minor. It's like, you can't have a minor doing this stuff. So they bench her, they sideline her. So she feels, a lot of this is her feeling sad for herself because I can't be a Ghostbuster for 3 years. They're like, just relax, be a kid. I'm like, I would like that for 3 years. Can I do that for 3 years? So she goes and plays, just to go all by her lonesome in the middle of New York City in the middle of the night to go play chess in a park by herself. And she thinks she's just going to kind of play chess by herself, and the chess pieces start moving. And you first think, oh, here comes the ghost of Egon. How are they going to do this tastefully? Well, they don't have to, because it's a different ghost. And this ghost is like, hi, I'm going to be your friend. It's basically Casper, but if Casper has an ulterior motive. So they're they befriend her. She shows her around all these different places. She's like, I can be a ghost. I wish I was a ghost like you. I can show you how. And there's this ghost trap system that they can take haunted things and pull the ghost out of them. But I guess maybe they said they have 2 minutes before the ghost goes back. Maybe they planted that in somewhere. Because she goes, I can go in this machine and pull the ghost out of me. And I could be a ghost for 2 minutes, but I don't die. And I'm like, I don't remember that being established. When did that get established? I missed it. But she does it, and when she's out, the girl goes, I'm sorry, I just used you to, because now the big evil spirit can control you. He had a weird name. I want to say Guacamole or something like that. He can control you, Guacamole. And so he gets the ghost. He takes over the ghost, who gets the human to say the chanting, opens up the orb, and boom, ice storms coming everywhere, a frozen empire, if you will. But luckily, every giant shard of ice that shoots up through the ground misses a person. Not one person is killed. He goes to Ghostbusters Central. They're all there now. Ghostbusters, the family, the girl with the ghost friend who betrayed her, but then comes back at the end to help her. Camille Nadir, I forget his name. He's there because, oh, by the way, he comes from a long line of people who protected the orb, and he's a fire master, and he can shoot fire or control fire, which goes against ice. Get it? And then our current Ghostbusters and our older Ghostbusters, and they're all there to fight because now this guy's coming to the containment unit to open it up and let all the ghosts out, which the containment unit, we have another side story where that's almost too full. So they need to start transporting ghosts. And I thought some of these things that are haunted, maybe they're haunted by nice spirits and now you're trapping them. Okay, that's just me overthinking things. So the big bad comes at the end. He's like, I'm going to get you. Guacamole, no. And they try to shoot. Oh, he can freeze your normal proton pack space rays or whatever they're called, the proton rays. And like no other ghost could ever do that. This guy, of course, could do it. So McKenna Grace, I forget what her name is in the movie. I really do. She's like, wait a second. Didn't you say, that bronze or copper could somehow mess with ghosts? And he's like, yes, but we don't have any copper here. It was the vagrants stolen over the years from this building. What about bronze? And you realized earlier they mentioned that the grandmother kept this orb hidden in a bronze room. He's like, yes, bronze would work. Well, they have bronze inside the fire station because those giant fire poles are bronze. So she gets a bunch of bronze stuff, melts it down in a kettle. This is all while the ghost is coming. Dips all her stuff in it. She's like, maybe if I coat my proton pack in bronze, that'll give us enough power. I mean, that is a big, giant leaps and bounds, but let's say it does work. Why not do that to a couple of the proton packs, okay? Yes, Walter Peck took all the originals, but Winston has new ones. They're a little better. They're a little nicer. Why don't we coat those, like at least 3 of them? If you can't do all of them, try to do as many as you can. No, she just coats hers, and the other girl there, she's like, I tried, a regular proton pack doesn't work. But they try it anyway, and guess what? Shocker, it doesn't work. So he freezes everything. Meanwhile, downstairs, the ghost girl's like, I'm sorry, I used you. And she goes to open up the containment unit. All these spirits are left out. It reminds you of Ghostbusters 4, except you don't have the I believe in magic, that creepy song. So we don't have that. But we do have all the ghosts flying around New York City and, acting crazy again. So she goes, wait a minute, what the hell happens? Oh, she goes upstairs with her copper top proton pack and starts shooting the guy, and it hurts. It's like, oh, and then he goes to kill her. He freezes her, and he goes to kill her because the thing jams, and all of a sudden, this girl who had a matchbook with her the whole time, she killed herself, her family in a fire. So she has this match that, she always thought it was a purpose. Well, the purpose is she lights the match. And now the fire master, who couldn't control a lighter because it wouldn't work, now he takes the fire orb and he's like, yes, I'm doing it. And he starts shooting the monster with the fire. Meanwhile, McKenna's, her bronze proton pack works. So now they're double shooting. And now downstairs, all the Ghostbusters are like, wait, I know what we can do. We can reverse the polarity of the containment, blah, blah, blah. If we flip this switch, we'll fix everything, and the bad guy will be sucked back in. Guess what? It works. He gets sucked back in, and I guess that sucks every other ghost in, too, because They save the world. Walter Peck is ready to shut them down, but Bill Murray's like, look what they did. These Ghostbusters saved everybody, and the crowd's behind them. So now he accepts them. But they get another call. There's still ghosts. Slimer, he came back and messed with Finn Wolfhard for a while. There's a dragon dude. So they're flying off. So like, we need to go. They let Finn Wolfhard drive the car. Driving away. And that's where it ends. And then we get a mid-credit scene where they call them the Mini Puffs, the Stay Puft Marshmallow little guys, hijack a Big Mac truck that is carrying Stay Puft marshmallows. So I don't know if they're going to possess all the other marshmallows. And then I read there's a possibility of them doing a little spin-off with the Mini Marshmallow, having their own movie or a special. And that just reminds me of, like, basically, let's do a Ghostbusters version of the Minions. I mean, that's pretty much what that is. But they're cute. They don't serve a purpose except being cute. They keep them around. Like, they didn't, hide from them or anything. They were at Ray's. They were in the ghost house. I think they were everywhere. This movie, there's nothing like wonderful about it. Do you know what I mean? Except for it hits some of those nostalgic buttons. Okay, it's there are some fun performances. Paul Rudd is good, and I do like that. Not only did they use the historical Ghostbusters movies. They even talk about the debacle with the Statue of Liberty, kind of like Ghostbusters 2 really wasn't that great. I think I like that. I think they were kind of poking fun of that. But they also brought in like toy commercials, showing them dancing with Ray Parker Jr., things that made them celebrities. Because let's be honest, if Ghostbusters were real, just like I've talked about this with superheroes, there would be merchandising, Spaceballs the flamethrower. It would happen, and kids would dress up as Ghostbusters. It's just, that's the way it is. You see, I dressed up as army men, you dressed up as police officers, firemen, that kind of stuff happened. Of course, they dress up as Ghostbusters too. Not Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters TOO. Even though it was 2016 should have been called Ghostbusters TOO. That would have been something. So, I do like that. It was directed fine. It just was nothing special. You kind of guess, okay, this girl she's there. She's going to be friends. I don't know why the other girl wanted to be a ghost all of a sudden, but she's probably going to turn on her. She's probably there for an ulterior motive. They even tease that. She's talking to the big bad. I know, but does it have to be her? Like, oh God, we're supposed to feel bad for this girl, but even though she's a bad girl, then she comes back at the end and is a good girl, and it works, and she flitters away into the, into the unknown, into the great wide open, as Tom Petty once sang. So while the Afterlife kind of already tickled the, hey, remember these Ghostbusters? Look, they're back. This did a better job with that, with bringing them back and having them do a little more and be a part of it more. So I enjoyed that, but it wasn't like, wow, they're back, because we already saw them back in the last one. They just did a better job with that. I like that it was, in New York. It wasn't the last time there was like underground caves and stuff. Yeah, this is better. This probably is a better movie. The big bad, he looked kind of cool, I guess, but it's not like something you haven't seen before. And nowadays, special effects are so good that you can't impress me with, something. It takes a lot to impress me. I thought Slimer looked better than the Big Bad, because Slimer almost had like shine and texture to him that made it look like he's kind of there. And the Big Bad, they just Guacamole. It's kind of, you've seen this stuff before. Where even in the original one, the stop motion, dogs and Gozer and Zool and all that stuff, it wasn't it wasn't the most believable, but it was there. A lot of it was there. Even with the guy in a marshmallow suit, it was, to me, I like that stuff more. Like, how did they do that? When you see the behind the scenes, you're like, oh my God, that's how they did that? Where this, you're like, how did they do that? And they show, 10 people on computers in a room. You're like, oh, that's how they did that. That's how they do this movie and every other movie. So you can do anything in movies now. So it really comes down to special effects aren't enough. Or at some point years ago, they could be enough because you're just wowed by things. Now it's like, show me something else. And this movie hits and misses with that. Some of the generics of the story, where you kind of can see where it's going. But I thought all the acting was okay. The mom is probably the least developed character. She's just like, hey, what are you doing? Those are my kids. Hey, you can't do that. And like Finn's like, Mom, there's something in the attic, and she's just like looking at her phone. She's like, yeah, you're a big boy, you can do it. Like, what if there's a monster up there? It's Ghostbusters. Maybe not just leave him to go up there and deal with Slimer. But he didn't say he slimed me, so I'm glad that didn't happen. But she's still not. It's not like you don't like her. She's still perfectly fine. And she got to work I do like the use of the droid. What is it? The quadcopter, whatever they call those things, the flying things. What the hell are they called? They're not called droids. And I'm going to stay with you're going to stay with me until my brain remembers this. So it's got a quadcopter, and I think that's what they might call them, but no, it's a oh God, and then it begins with a D, does it? Right? I have brain scramble. But anyway, she flies this thing, this copter around. And there's a ghost trap in it, and I think I liked that little aspect. It came back later, didn't quite work later when it needed to, but they brought that back when they had the ghost trap attached to the begins with a D. Okay, not a droid, not a Draco Malfoy. Is it a droid? No. Drone! Oh my God, it's a drone. Yes! Brain's back, baby. Brain is back. And I wonder, though, if Ghostbusters going to be back. I don't know if this did huge at the movie theater. I think it did okay, considering it's, it's still like post-COVID. Movies just aren't what they used to be, except certain movies. And, this is a 40-year-old franchise. Yes, this is coming off of a movie from just a couple of years ago. So if you enjoyed that movie, there's a chance you'll want to see this one. But I just wonder, is this movie made for the kids nowadays, or is it made for the nostalgic crowd of the 40s somethings and 50s somethings of my contemporaries? We were watching Hulu, and there was a commercial, for the on Hulu, the Brat Pack documentary, and I was like, oh, I want to see that. My wife goes, I want to see that. She goes, was that even like a thing for you? And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You're a year and a half older than me. You're not 10 years older than me. You're not different. You didn't rob the cradle. You slightly robbed, you dipped back into high school for a senior, but you didn't rob a cradle. When I said that, she realized that she sounded ridiculous, and we had a laugh. We were having a laugh. So that's it, I think. I enjoyed parts of it. Parts of it I thought, ooh, I don't know. I can't believe I bought this. That's the main thing. Would I have bought this? Would I have purchased this? Let's say I watched it, and then they said, hey, it's up for purchase. Would you buy it? No. I bought it specifically for the love of movie month, and because it was on sale, and because I had some credit, and because I guess I'm just too damn honest. That's my problem. That's the problem with Santa Clarita, or Santa Clara. Or wherever. There's too many damn vampires. Look, I just went off to a whole different movie. That's what happens sometimes. Sometimes I just quote movies. Honestly, all the time, I go, come on. I go to take my dog. I go, come on, let's go. Let's see. And then I say, let's see what Madame Ruby sees. Again, a Pee-wee's Big Adventure reference. Nothing to do with taking your dog out, but I can't help it. I say it all the time now. So that's it. I think I'm done. And now I've referenced two movies that have nothing to do with Ghostbusters. But this movie did have something to do with Ghostbusters. And we'll see if we get a third one. I kind of think we will. But it might be a couple of years. But I feel like there's something more. Just to kind of give it its own trilogy. People love a trilogy. So I feel like we might get a third one. I wonder. This one wasn't directed by Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman. But it was dedicated to Ivan, who passed away a couple of years ago. So that made me well up a little bit. Just seeing For Ivan, where I think the last one might have been for Harold Ramis. This one, I think, was for Ivan. But Jason Reitman did co-write it, and he co-produced it. And Dan Aykroyd, I think he'll be there. If you ask him to do it, he'll be there. But again, it was nice to see all of them again. Again, will the third one show them? I feel like they've done enough now with these guys. Do we need them again? That's where does it now become forced? Where we need all the old Ghostbusters again. I don't know. We shall see. But that's if we get a third one. And I don't know. I talked myself into the fact that we're getting one, and then I'm thinking, I wonder. I wonder indeed. But that's it. We're not getting a third one this year, though this is the third Ghostbusters I've covered in Movie Month. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm done. So, listen. Happy Monday, everybody. This is my last Monday off. I took 4 Mondays off in a row. Well, one of them was a holiday. I used some vacation days up. But I still only have like a 2.5 day week this week. Then next week, it's back to the grind, back to life, back to reality. No, I still have half-day Fridays, so up and through August, so I can't complain. But I probably will. And tonight, the last time I said go Celtics, it didn't quite work out so well. Tonight, we want it to work out. Hopefully the Celtics can close it out. And the next time you hear from me, the Celtics are the NBA World Champions. We shall see, but that's tomorrow. We'll talk about that in the future with tomorrow's movie, which I'm not quite sure what it is yet. I have a couple ideas. I might go back to an older movie again. That's a distinct possibility. But that's tomorrow, folks. Today is in the books. Today, I have to say, if you want a movie podcast where a guy watches a movie every single day and podcasts about it every single day during 1 month every year, who are you going to call? You're going to call me, Geek Mentality, on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Mastodon.social, Blue Sky, and something else. I don't know. Facebook page is Fans Not Experts. The YouTube channel is Fans Not Experts. The website is fansnotexperts.com. That's it. I'm done. 17 days in the books. We only have 13 more days to go. Holy moly. All right, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow. But until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And... here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans Not Experts.